Local legend has it that these stones are all that remains of a witch's coven. They also form the second largest stone circle in Britain. Find out where I am? Just a moment. In today's show, I'll be helping a couple desperate for the outdoors life find their first home together in the country. However, they're keeping their cards close to their chest.
I don't know what to say.
You're quite hard to read, so you've got this poker face. But maybe our mystery house will force them to open up a bit.
It's quite romantic.
Welcome to Cumbria, a county filled with mountains, poets, and this stone circle known as Long Meg. Now, Meg, which is this one, was claimed to be a witch, and she and her many daughters were turned into rocks. Now, this stone circle, it's said, is protected by magic. It's impossible to go around it and count the same number of stones twice. So while I test that theory, you take a look at the rest of the county. House prices in the Lake District are just a tad under the national average, £251,000 for a detached house. However, prices are really not the problem. The problem is lack of housing stock. There are obvious reasons you can't build on the side of a mountain, and inside the national park you can't build at all. But another factor is second homeowners. In fact, in some parts of the Lake District, Coniston for example, 51% of the property belongs to second homeowners. But if you are looking to move to the area, there are properties to suit every budget. For £260,000, this three-bedroom stone barn conversion outside Wigton provides a generous open-plan kitchen diner and bedrooms with impressive roof beams. Outside, the garden has views over the adjoining fields. Or how about this four-bedroom barn conversion near Foxfield for £420,000? It has a state-of-the-art kitchen diner, a lovely garden, and a roof terrace which offers stunning views towards Kirby Moor and the local woodland. For larger budgets, £675,000 could buy you this four-bedroom farmhouse in Alston. It has a light, airy feel, with wooden truss ceilings a running theme throughout the main house. Our house buyers today are desperate to leave their town life behind and move into the glories of the countryside. So let's meet them and find out why they want to make their escape to Cumbria. Leslie, a retail manager, and Carl, a school teacher, have lived together in their three-bedroom home in the suburbs of northern Blackpool for 2 years. But since becoming a couple, they both want to head out of town and pursue a more active lifestyle in the Cumbrian countryside.
We both want to move to the country. I think we like the outdoor lifestyle and the accessibility to the countryside, basically. This will be our first property that we'll have bought together, and that's one of our main reasons. We want to be quite rural and have the ideal that we've always wanted.
One of my greatest interests is cycling. I mean, Leslie and I used to do quite a lot, but unfortunately the traffic around here, as you probably hear, is just ridiculous. It's not even peak time at the moment, so the chance to kind of go out and cycle in the countryside is just something that we're really looking forward to.
Becoming a fully-fledged gardener is part of Leslie's outdoor ambition.
As you can see, this is my little vegetable patch, and it is very small. At the moment, all we can really grow are kind of strawberries and raspberries. And when we move to the country, what we'd really like to do is to be able to grow a greater variety of fruit and vegetables.
While striving to fulfil their rural dream, they also realise that initially they'll have to commute back to Blackpool for work. Because of this, they want to settle in the Kendal area with easy access to the M6. And besides being insistent that their next home should be detached, there are other priorities to factor in.
For me, I'd like the new house to be pretty much everything that this place isn't, to be honest with you. I think the main thing for me is location. It'd be wonderful to be able to see some scenery, you know, dare I say, wildlife, etc.
The property itself, I don't mind whether it's an older property or whether it's a newer build, but I would prefer it to have some character features. So I'd like a nice, unusual fireplace, or it to have character inside. Ideally, I'd love a big kitchen. 2 bedrooms would be fine. Ideally, we need somewhere that could be a studio, so that might be some outbuildings that come along with the property.
It's more about the location. Again, I think I'd prefer it to be a bit more out on its own, whereas Leslie, I think, would probably prefer to be a bit either closer or actually in a community.
Leslie sold her property 2 years ago, and with Carl's on the market for £145,000, they've agreed their top limit.
I think the maximum budget we're looking to spend on our new property would be around the £300,000 mark.
I know we always say that it's going to be a challenge to find what our home buyers want, but in Carl and Leslie's case, there are some specific factors that could trip us up. Firstly, their budget's not the biggest. Secondly, everybody wants to move to this beautiful corner of the countryside. And thirdly, local occupancy restrictions really do limit the number of properties that incomers like Carl and Leslie can buy. The good news is, here on Escape, we love a challenge. At their request, we'll be focusing Carl and Leslie's property search in the Kendal area, although their budget may mean we have to push the boundaries to get them what they want. We've selected 3 handsome Cumbrian homes to tempt them with, but I won't be revealing the price of each until they've had a guess first. The last property is our mystery house, which we're hoping will push them beyond their comfort zone. Welcome to Cumbria, where the sun is always like this, never ever rains.
It's glorious, isn't it?
Yeah, so I can understand why you want to move here. Is it always been your sort of destination of choice? Why here?
Well, we had a conversation a while back, didn't we? We decided that we only ever wanted to move one more time, so we actually made a list. And we did it separately to make sure it wasn't one person's choice over the other, of places where we really want to live. And top of both of our lists was the Lake District.
Oh, that's nice.
So it kind of made sense, basically.
So it sounds like you have perfect unison where it comes to where you want to live, but what about the kind of property you want to live in? Do you have the same taste there?
I think Carl is definitely more to do with the location of the property. Obviously these views are amazing and that's obviously what we're moving here for. I'm probably more to do with the interior of the house, whereas Carl is more to do with the exterior of the property.
Your budget is 300?
Correct, yes.
Fixed in stone?
Fixed in stone.
Our top
Very good.
line budget.
Because you have sold your property and yours is on the market?
It's on the market at the moment, and we're also looking to let, so we're ready to go, basically.
And we have found some lovely properties to show you. I'm very pleased. So let's go and start looking.
Okay.
Happily, with their budget of £300,000, Leslie and Carl have realistic expectations. But ideally, they're after a detached property that provides them with a living room, preferably with a lovely period fireplace, a large kitchen diner, a minimum of 2 bedrooms, space for Carl's studio, along with a good-sized garden for Leslie to grow vegetables. And countryside views are a must. We're getting our property search underway with location at the top of the agenda as we head to the village of Brigsteer. With all the amenities of Kendal just 3 miles away, this is a superbly rural spot with a well-regarded pub, a small parish church and a scattering of properties, which enjoy views over the Lythe Valley, and our first house is no exception. So this is the spot I wanted to bring you to, and this is the property I want to show you.
Excellent.
Okay, so first impressions. Yours, because you were sort of trembling as we approached.
A gorgeous setting, absolutely gorgeous setting. Couldn't have asked for a nicer setting. Really like it from the outside. Really intrigued to see what's inside.
It's attached. How do you feel about that?
That's the first thing I noticed, but obviously in this location, it's something's got to give.
Quite like the fact that we've got neighbours that are near, but we'll have to wait and see what inside brings.
I can see there's going to be a bit of tension.
The dog will decide of it.
Hopefully the dog will give the heads up to the large double garage, which has studio potential for Carl. But it's the windows in the main house that I think will hold his attention. Come into the sunroom. What are your thoughts?
It's the view that I'm looking at. I mean, it captures the view perfectly. Because the view's one of the main things that we're after, basically. I mean, certainly from my side of the thing, it was like, I want to be able to sit and just admire the view.
Quite cosy, quite like it.
Quite like it?
Quite like it.
What do you think of the style of it? Because this is quite a taster of the whole house.
It's very modern, which obviously ideally I wanted some period features, but I do like the general feel and the presentation of the room.
Okay, well, let's move on. This was the original front door before they put it on the sunroom, but now it's sort of become the back door, as it were. This is the sitting room.
I like the fireplace.
I like the fireplace.
Eyes immediately drawn to the period detail.
Yeah.
Size-wise, I'm just trying to... I mean, it's cosy. I'm just wondering if it's just a little bit too small. The ceilings are okay.
But then it could be positioning of furniture.
Well, let's see if Leslie warms to the kitchen.
Right, now you've seen everything on the ground floor.
What do you think?
I think it's lovely. Everything you could need in the kitchen. Quite modern.
I mean, it's not a huge property.
Yeah.
No.
You've got to take that on board. But I think what they've done with it is really great.
Ideal for entertaining. I can't fault the kitchen at all.
Oh, that's good. You're quite hard to read. So you've got this poker face where you come into a room and like, So you like
Because
it?
I take everything in first before,
Yeah,
but I think
it's
the
hard,
kitchen,
isn't it?
I love the floor.
We have a quiet but positive reaction to the downstairs, and upstairs the space has also been well configured to offer 3 bedrooms spread over 2 floors. There's a single room with a small but sleek refitted modern bathroom, and next door is a possible master.
This is one of the 2 bedrooms on this floor.
Okay.
Excellent view.
Beautiful view.
Beautiful view.
Imagine waking up to that. Lots of storage.
Is this the main bedroom then? Or...
They use this as their master bedroom, yeah. But all the bedrooms are pretty much the same size.
Okay.
Size is fine for me.
We'll head upstairs again and see if they have any creative thoughts for the 3rd bedroom.
Up in the eaves, they've added an extra room. So this is a new addition in the last few years. The reason they probably didn't use this as their master is because obviously you're a bit leaning over. But it's got great views. And it might be a good sort of workspace or an office.
It'd be ideal for you, wouldn't it, if you wanted it?
Yeah, I've already got my mark on it, to be honest. I mean, the view's stunning. I mean, it's ideal size, to be honest with you. The light's good. It's out of the way, so I won't be in the way downstairs.
This cottage has all the requisite rooms they were after and would be an extremely comfortable first home for them. Outside, the location gives them glorious countryside on their doorstep, but at the expense of the size of the garden.
Coming out. So this is where we have to compromise.
Compromise. Yeah. I was waiting for that word, Alistair.
Because this is your back garden. Essentially just a little patio garden. Space enough to have a barbecue and a big kennel, but not really room for a veggie patch.
No.
I can't see myself just sitting out here too long, to be honest with you. It'd be more the sunroom at the front.
What do you think this property is on the market for?
I think because it's a semi-detached property, I'm thinking it might be around 270.
Knowing you're a man of your word and you wouldn't go above our budget, I'm going to go actually 290.
290. Clearly you overestimate my word because sadly this is over budget. This is actually on the market for 315. But have a look around again, explore at your leisure, and I'll meet you out in the front in the sunroom, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, thank you.
In you go.
The fact that this semi-detached cottage is over budget at £315,000 only highlights the premium they have to pay for location. However, it's also in excellent decorative order and provides them with 2 living rooms, one with great views and the other with a stone fireplace, a beautiful kitchen diner, and 3 bedrooms, one of which Carl has already earmarked as his studio. The main drawback for them was the courtyard garden, but it's offset by being in their ideal location with great access to Kendal, the lakes, and to the M6 for driving to work.
I think internally, I think it offers us all the space and the rooms that we need. You know, we've got 2 potential living rooms. I think the kitchen stroke dining room is absolutely amazing.
Location-wise, this is probably as good as it gets. So the question is, are we prepared to lose the back garden for being in this space?
Hello.
Hello.
All done in there?
Yes.
So keep your thoughts about this house to yourselves, because we've got another one to look at.
Okay.
Sitting just on the outskirts of the national park, Kendal is Cumbria's 3rd largest town and is often dubbed the southern gateway to the lakes and is defined by its limestone grey buildings. From 1941 it was home to Alfred Wainwright and was where he served as borough treasurer and worked on his famous pictorial guides of the Lakeland Fells. Along with exploring the local terrain on foot, there's also a fantastic network of accessible cycle routes. And as Carl and Leslie are keen to take to 2 wheels, earlier in the week we arranged for them to meet Toby Dalton, who's lived in the Kendal area most of his life and owns a local cycle company. He's taking them on a leisurely ride which takes in some local beauty spots, starting with a pause for breath in Staveley.
It's a great little stopping place, this. This is obviously Barley Bridge and the Barley Weir, and we've just come back from Kendal, so we're kind of 5 miles into the ride or so. The mountain bikers come all over from the country to ride the trails around here. There's some big famous trails. One in particular is called Garden Pass. It's real steep, very technical descent, a real challenge for a lot of people.
So would that be a good one for me and Leslie, or...?
Maybe in a year's time.
Cyclists are asked to avoid footpaths. That's not a problem here, as Cumbria has more than 1,200 miles of bridleway, more than any other county, which helps pull in £33 million from outdoor pursuits each year. And it's easy to see why, with views like this over Kendal towards the northern lakes. But that's just for starters.
OK, guys, so if you're up for it, we're going to go and check out Windermere now. It's a little bit of a cycle, 15 miles in kind of that direction. We're going to go on a little curve round on some country lanes.
Toby has mapped out a comfortable 2-hour ride for them, which ends in a well-earned rest by the shores of Lake Windermere.
Nice bench here with a good view. So did you enjoy the ride today? Do you think you'll be out on your bikes quite a bit when you eventually move up here?
Oh, is it? I mean, it was an excellent ride, wasn't it? I mean, it's where to go. There's so many choices. I think that's our bigger problem, which direction you head off in.
And even for me, because I'm not that experienced with all the hills, it was all right for my level because I'm quite a novice. Yeah, it was still a challenge in parts for Carl.
Excellent. And the great privilege is that you don't have to go home, and after work you can nip out on your bike or put your running shoes on and go out on the fells. But within 10 minutes you can be out in the wilderness, and it's absolutely lovely. Can't beat it, to be honest. It's a cracking place.
Being able to enjoy the magnificent countryside of the lakes is key to their move. Although our second property also factors in their request for land, as we edge over to the western side of the lakes, close to Broughton-in-Furness, just over 30 miles from Kendal. In the past, this small market town prospered from the trading of wool and cattle. Many of its historic buildings surround its Georgian market square, with its central obelisk marking the Jubilee of King George III in 1810. On the outskirts of the town, and with stunning views of the Duddon Valley, we find our second property, whose remote setting should appeal to Carl, whilst giving Leslie the original character she wants.
Now, you know you were worried about neighbours. We thought we'd bring you somewhere that was just a little bit more remote.
Yeah. I mean, this is just what I was after, but I don't know about Leslie. I mean, this is, like, location-wise, perfection.
So it's a great location, and this is the property I want to show you. It, again, is attached.
OK.
Because we couldn't rustle up all of this for you in your budget. But what do you think of this architectural style of it? Because this is probably more in your...
From what I can see, I like the outside of the building. I like the fact that it's built in stone. So that's very appealing.
Let's have a look inside.
Well, let's see if she's sold on the internal quirks that inevitably crop up in such a historic conversion.
Come into the pigsty, aka the dining hall.
I like the features. I like the fact that it's uneven walls and not finished to a smooth finish. I'm just trying to think how we would actually use this space if we would actually use it as a dining room.
Sure. This is billed as the dining room because it's next to the kitchen. Why don't you have a peek in the kitchen? Mind the step. But it's not huge.
No, I think if you look in the English dictionary, the term little, there's a picture of this kitchen.
Maybe the features of the living room can work their charm.
And this is the other room on the downstairs. So this would be the sitting room lounge. Great thick walls again with a little alcove. And the window seat. So it's a bit more period-y.
It is much more periody.
And it's certainly, you know, cosy, it's got the features.
And the features are lovely. I love the window seat and the view outside. And the little features they've done around in the fireplace. I'm just trying to think if it's a workable space for...
Okay, and you've got 3 bedrooms. Wow.
The views are a big theme upstairs, where there are 3 bedrooms, which, like the last property, are spread over 2 floors. The first consists of 2 cosy little singles and a well-furnished family bathroom. But we'll see if the master on the second floor measures up.
So the present owners have just put this on. This is a top floor extension to give themselves this master bedroom. But obviously this is by far the biggest upstairs room.
This is fine for me.
Yeah, it's got a nice feeling to it, hasn't it? I mean, with the light coming through there.
And from there as well, behind the door.
Yeah, I think so far it's just the kitchen, really, that's an issue for me.
Although they feel that the room sizes overall have come up short, there is the possibility to extend downstairs, as the current owners have drawn up plans to build a glass sunroom out from the current porch, subject to planning permission, of course. There are also other opportunities outside that will exceed their expectations.
You may have fallen in love with the house in the last property, but you didn't like the land. There was no land to like. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
So this property has a bit more land. You've got all of this is yours, the kind of mown green grass bit. But there's also the possibility, for a small purchase price, of buying all the 2 acres right up to the top of the hill. So without that big parcel of land, how much do you think this property costs?
250.
I might say it's slightly more than that. 270.
270. Well, this property is on the market for 250, and that parcel of land could be yours for £10,000. So that makes 260 altogether, but the vendor's keen to accept offers from you, so you could probably get it for around 250. Why don't you go around, have a look, you can have a wander up there as well. Take a look in, see what you think about the house again, what you think you could do with the land, and then we'll meet at the end.
Okay.
Priced at just a shade under £250,000, this stone cottage is well under their budget threshold and offers them a wealth of period features, including exposed beams and a stone fireplace, 3 bedrooms, and a sizable garden which they could extend to 2 acres if they spent £10,000 on the adjoining woodland. All wrapped up in a spectacular setting with far-reaching lakeland views.
I love all the period features that we have in this property. Obviously the little window seat and the beams. But for me, I think the living area downstairs is just a little bit on the small side.
I can see why you brought us here. You know, again, you know, you do need to look at the potential as opposed to what's actually here. This does offer the potential to become, you know, the house for forever.
Beautiful views, but maybe a few too many pieces to this jigsaw. You all done?
We are.
Oh, you're still smiling, that's good. Come on, let's go and regroup.
As evening falls over the Cumbrian hills, it marks the end of the first day of our property search. With their £300,000 budget, Carl and Leslie want to quit the Blackpool suburbs and build a new life for themselves in the country. The two houses we've seen so far have proved just how tricky balancing the equation of house, land and location can be. But for our mystery house, we are throwing caution to the wind.
Ta-da!
And I get a taste of one of Cumbria's sweetest claims to fame.
Oh, so that's nice. I've already clocked that Carl has a strong but probably slightly frustrated creative streak, but I realised yesterday that Leslie has it too. They're both dreamers. They're both always looking forward to the next room, the next project, the next house, the next field. And really this move is a lot more than just changing houses. It's almost like they're both coming together to start something completely new. And then when I think about their commute, how realistic is it to travel for an hour and a half every morning back and forth to Blackpool when, you know, what they really want, I think, is something totally new. And we need to force their hand. And the mystery house certainly does that. We're going off to see the mystery house. What do you think that will involve?
Just so long as it's not a terraced house in the middle of town, that's my only stipulation.
I'm hoping that it will be a detached property,
Right.
but not too remote.
For our mystery property, we're staying on Cumbrian soil with the lakes 25 miles away and heading to Alston in the North Pennines. Reputedly the highest market town in England at over 1,000 feet above sea level, it provides them with great walking terrain for their new outdoors lifestyle. 5 miles from Alston, our mystery barn conversion challenges them to think about turning their back on the commute to Blackpool and gives them a taste on how they could earn an income from running a holiday let.
So I appreciate that I've taken you on quite a hike, but luckily I've brought some Kendal mint cake to keep you fired up.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good. High energy.
Thank you.
Don't need to do it all at once. And it's this property here.
Okay.
Okay, so the whole stone built from the 1700s old miner's cottage in a beautiful location.
Detached.
Detached.
Excellent.
From the outside, I love the stone-built property. And the location's absolutely mind-blowing.
So this is actually 2 holiday lets joined together. So you need to decide what you're going to do with it.
Okay. Sounds like a positive challenge.
Now they've taken the bait, we'll explore the larger cottage, whose 2 bedrooms and living areas are set out over 3 stories.
Come on in. Now, bearing in mind that it's a sort of upside-down house to take advantage of all the views, the bedrooms in both cottages are downstairs.
I think it's a really good size, yeah. And I completely agree. I would have all the bedrooms downstairs anyway. Right. You need to appreciate the views, so there's no point having your living room downstairs. Right. So I'd probably keep it exactly the same.
I mean, outside you've ticked all my boxes, so it's just Leslie you've got to convince now.
Oh, right. Very good. Okay. One down.
Tacked onto the side of the property is a laundry room used by holiday guests. And downstairs there's a good-sized bathroom along with a separate sauna. But I think Leslie's going to be convinced about the upstairs kitchen when she sees its main focal point.
Ta-da!
That's what you call a fireplace.
This is what you call a period detail.
It is a period detail.
It's a period detail.
It is.
It's an old miner's kitchen stove. But what do you think of the bones of the kitchen? Because it's bigger than the last one.
I mean, the size of the kitchen's fine.
I think it's really good because I can imagine putting, modernising this. I mean, look at the view.
Is that a positive
Yes, it's
poker
a
face?
positive.
Oh. Let's look upstairs.
We've notched up brownie points from Leslie for the kitchen, so time to admire the views from the upstairs living room.
the stairs to the view.
Wow.
Makes sense to have the sitting room upstairs, huh?
It's better than I was expecting. I was worried that there was going to be like small views that we had to stick our heads out of.
I do really like it. I can see if, you know, our furniture was in here, facing out to that view would just be wonderful.
Okay, now you might be wondering where you sleep.
Is that the surprise?
No, it's not downstairs, because there is a room up here. They do have one room upstairs, which is the master bedroom.
It's quite romantic.
Quite
It is
romantic.
actually.
And then, in the morning, ta-da! It's the view.
Now we've seen the house they could call home, we'll go and explore the second part of our mystery proposition. These two holiday lets combined are currently bringing in an annual income of around £20,000, based on just a 20-week occupancy. The second cottage also has a double bedroom downstairs and benefits from a Victorian fireplace and flagstone floors, with a spacious modern bathroom opposite. But it's time for a game of compare and contrast as we take a look at the main living area upstairs.
Coming through the sitting room again with a beautiful view. And with the kitchen all
Chair test.
part of it. Did it pass?
Oh, it definitely passes.
While they mull over which side of our mystery house to take as their own, we'll head outside, where they get more than they could have ever expected.
It's the big moment. These two cottages together comes with a parcel of 7 acres of land.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, well, let's talk money.
I'm going to say 340.
I mean, I'd certainly say it's worth that, but I'm going to hope it's 320.
This is on the market for £300,000. You could afford it.
Neither of us know what to say.
Well, why don't you have a wander around while you're thinking about it, and then when you've found some words, then we can talk afterwards. Aww. Now that was a very, very, very long punt we did, bringing them all the way here. And you know what? It seems to have paid off.
Bang on budget at £300,000, our mystery house is the ultimate test for them to sever work ties to Blackpool. But if they're brave enough to go the distance, they'll get 2 houses in one, providing a 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom cottage, both with upper-storey living rooms from which to soak up those incredible views. And along with the ready-made holiday let business, there are over 7 acres of land to fulfill Leslie's dream of self-sufficiency.
So we could either be in the other property and rent this one out, because that'll give us more income, or we could stay in this one and rent out the smaller one, depending on job situation. I think this property is absolutely amazing. It's got a fabulous location. It's detached. The decisions are which part of the property do we potentially live in.
The mystery property is just, it's too good to be true, to be honest with you. I mean, there are no negatives. I mean, the only problem, as I see it, is kind of which side of the house do we want to live on. As the teachers would say, it's an A+, top of the class, and there's your little gold star.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, was a good mystery house. Have you found words to express your joy?
A few.
A few. Good, well, let's share them in the car. We're heading home.
Cumbria's mountainous landscape is a playground for outdoor enthusiasts. In 1869, it also inspired a sugar-rich foodstuff that today you are likely to find in most mountaineers' pockets. I'm talking, of course, of the world-famous Kendal mint cake, and I've come to the town from which it hails to visit one of the oldest surviving mint cake companies. and to meet its owner, Peter McCafferty, to find out more about its origins and its enduring appeal.
Look at that, glittering.
Fantastic.
I quite like the idea of a sort of sweet maker's war, sort of confectioners battling it out on the streets of Kendal. Is that the case?
Yeah, every day. No, it's really vicious.
Because you're not the only people to make it, are you?
There are only 3 companies that make Kendal mint cake, and we are competitors, but we're friendly competitors. So quite often, if we run out of chocolate or sugar, we'll approach one of the other companies and say, can you help us out until our delivery comes, and vice versa. If they run short, like last week they ran short of something, so we let them borrow some glucose.
I know you're going to be biased, but is this the best thing about Kendal?
There's some very good things about Kendal. Kendal mint cake is one of the good things about Kendal.
So diplomatic, Peter. It's brilliant.
This homegrown product is very well travelled, having accompanied Sir Edmund Hillary's team on their ascent of Everest, as well as Shackleton's Antarctic expedition. It's even the fuel of choice for some gold medal athletes. Despite its illustrious history, the way it's made has remained unchanged.
It's like Willy Wonka.
The process starts by adding a huge amount of sugar to a water, salt and glucose solution in the copper pan.
So that's 30 pounds of sugar. 30 pounds of sugar.
It's then boiled for around 20 minutes until it reaches the right white colour, when the sugary fondant is added and stirred in. Next, it's time to add another essential ingredient.
This is the mint. We're pouring the mint in now, but that's a special blend of California mint, the very best mint in the world.
Oh,
and so,
smells nice. And then you give it a good stir.
Yeah, what David's doing now is stirring the fondant. You know, the reason we add the fondant, that just encourages the mint cake to recrystallise, and so that just sort of speeds up the setting process.
Once the mixture has thickened and started to crystallise, it's ready to be poured into the moulds to set.
Now, David's making that look easy, but that is actually quite hard. If you ever got that, you'd find it was just going as a big splodge everywhere.
You just...
Well, maybe not. You might be an expert. You might be a natural for this.
David, your job is toast!
This batch will typically make 190 bars. It's left for a full day to set and breathe before it goes through to the wrapping room. With exports to Canada, Australia and America, it's heartening that such a traditional product can hold its own in a bitterly competitive sweet market.
Even by escape standards, that was an epic mystery house. Not only did they totally love it against all the odds, it seemed to have blown the other 2 houses out of the water. Let's find out what they really think. I'm quite excited to hear what you have to say, because you've been playing poker face and you've had all sorts of crazy ideas left, right and centre, so it's time to gather all the threads together. So spinning back the clock to the first house. Now this was the almost perfect house that didn't have the dream garden. What are we feeling about that now?
I mean, I still really like that property. The downside of that is obviously the back garden wasn't as big as we would have liked for potentially growing vegetables, etc. But the actual property itself was beautiful, you couldn't fault it.
Now the second house was pretty remote. What do you think about that one in retrospect?
Location was good again. I mean, I was relatively happy. I think it was the house that probably didn't fulfil the tick boxes. I mean, you were, to be honest, we're too keen on the house, were you?
No, I think the layout didn't work properly for me downstairs. I didn't get a nice feeling downstairs. Having said that, upstairs, the bedrooms and the bathroom were more than adequate for me.
Now, the mystery house, this certainly gave you space to be adventurous.
The house itself, it's just too good to be true, to be honest with you, with the river at the bottom, the view, you know, the B&B.
I think we're both in agreement for the mystery property. I think, like you said, there's a lot of opportunity for us to decide in which property we actually want to live, and which property we could use as a B&B. which would be a source of income for us, although initially when we first went there, obviously it was a lot further out than we'd first anticipated.
It was a real long shot because it was so far away from Blackpool and totally uncommutable that we wondered whether it would ever work for you.
Well, it all boils down to the interview that I've got next week, as it happens, for a position just outside Carlisle, which is...
That's handy.
It is. So, I mean, again, fate's just intervened here. I mean, it's just all fallen into place.
Ka-ching! So it looks like the Mystery House came in trumps. And will you go back and look at it? What will happen next?
I think we'd definitely like to go back for a second viewing.
And to speed things up, we're probably going to put our house to let, to be honest with you, just to speed the process up.
Well, I really hope things work out because you've been great to show around because you're so creative and thinking ahead, sometimes 4 or 5 steps ahead. But it's a real joy to see that you found somewhere you can really kind of keep on doing that. So I hope it goes ahead. And good luck with your interview.
Thank you very much.
I am so pleased about the way this show panned out because we often start off saying, yeah, there's a challenge and there's going to be a compromise and no one will really be pleased. But actually, the Mystery House pleased everyone. It pleased Carl, it pleased Leslie, it certainly pleased me because in one swoop, Carl's news about getting a job 25 miles away made all the pieces fit together. Property perfection. And if you want to see more of that, make sure you tune in next time for more Escape to the Country.
Once Carl and Leslie have explored new possibilities for work in the area, they're hoping to make an offer on the Mystery House. If you'd like to escape to the country in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland or England and would like our help, please apply online.
Local legend has it that these stones are all that remains of a witch's coven. They also form the second largest stone circle in Britain. Find out where I am? Just a moment.
In today's show, I'll be helping a couple desperate for the outdoors life find their first home together in the country. However, they're keeping their cards close to their chest.
I don't know what to say.
You're quite hard to read, so you've got this poker face.
But maybe our Mystery House will force them to open up a bit.
It's quite romantic.
Welcome to Cumbria, a county filled with mountains, poets, and this stone circle known as Long Meg. Now, Meg, which is this one, was claimed to be a witch, and she and her many daughters were turned into rocks. Now, this stone circle, it's said, is protected by magic. It's impossible to go around it and count the same number of stones twice. So while I test that theory, you take a look at the rest of the county. House prices in the Lake District are just a tad under the national average, £251,000 for a detached house. However, prices are really not the problem. The problem is lack of housing stock. There are obvious reasons you can't build on the side of a mountain, and inside the national park you can't build at all. But another factor is second homeowners. In fact, in some parts of the Lake District, Coniston for example, 51% of the property belongs to second homeowners.
But if you are looking to move to the area, there are properties to suit every budget. For £260,000, this 3-bedroom stone barn conversion outside Wigton provides a generous open-plan kitchen diner and bedrooms with impressive roof beams. Outside, the garden has views over the adjoining fields. Or how about this 4-bedroom barn conversion near Foxfield for £420,000? It has a state-of-the-art kitchen diner, a lovely garden, and a roof terrace which offers stunning views towards Kirby Moor and the local woodland. For larger budgets, £675,000 could buy you this 4-bedroom farmhouse in Ulston. It has a light, airy feel, with wooden truss ceilings a running theme throughout the main house.
Our housewives today are desperate to leave their town life behind and move into the glories of the countryside. So let's meet them and find out why they want to make their escape to Cumbria.
Leslie, a retail manager, and Carl, a school teacher, have lived together in their 3-bedroom home in the suburbs of northern Blackpool for 2 years. But since becoming a couple, they both want to head out of town and pursue a more active lifestyle in the Cumbrian countryside.
We both want to move to the country. I think we like the outdoor lifestyle and the accessibility to the countryside, basically. And this will be our first property that we'll have bought together. And that's one of our main reasons. We want to be quite rural and have the ideal that we've always wanted.
One of my greatest interests is cycling. I mean, Leslie and I used to do quite a lot, but unfortunately the traffic around here, as you probably hear, is just ridiculous. It's not even peak time at the moment, so the chance to kind of go out and cycle in the countryside is just something that we're really looking forward to.
Becoming a fully fledged gardener is part of Leslie's outdoor ambition.
As you can see, this is my little vegetable patch, and it is very small. At the moment, all we can really grow are kind of strawberries and raspberries. And when we move to the country, what we'd really like to do is to be able to grow a greater variety of fruit and vegetables.
While striving to fulfil their rural dream, they also realise that initially they'll have to commute back to Blackpool for work. Because of this, they want to settle in the Kendal area with easy access to the M6. And besides being insistent that they're